What's up, guys? So today we're gonna look back at the animation studio that gets the most hate, Illumination Entertainment. Now, personally, this animation studio is actually one of the most underrated and most harshly abused animation studios. Sure, they may not produce the best animated movies, but they can be enjoyable, and they are one of the better animation studios. And honestly, I don't get the hate. They've made some phenomenal movies, but they've also made some stinkers. So today, let's take a look at the top 3 worst Illumination movies of all time. If you do like these movies, that's fine. We just respect each other's opinions. If you respect mine, I'll respect yours. So, anyway, let's do this. Number 3. Minions. Now, when Minions came out, this was a billion-dollar success. And I can see why. The Minions were great side characters in the first movie. But however, just like the Penguins of Madagascar movie, which is actually a little bit better than this, the Minions aren't strong enough characters to be the main characters. Now, the animation is fine, and there's a lot of beautiful scenery like in Egypt and in places like England. And some of it looks realistic, but it's filled with cartoony characters. So, this one is highest on the list because, unlike the other two on the list, it does have its entertaining moments. There are some scenes that they do pull off some great visual gags, like with Dracula, and also with Scarlet's husband Herb. And Scarlet Overkill is probably one of the best antagonists in Illumination history. While not as great as El Macho from Despicable Me 2, she still proves to be a menacing antagonist, and has a really cool rocket dress. However, Minions is an irritating, annoying drag, and even though it has its moments, it is easily one of Illumination's worst. Unless you're a diehard Minion fan, I recommend skipping this. Number 2. The Secret Life of Pets 2. Now, the first Secret Life of Pets wasn't really that great of a movie. It's certainly one of the most forgettable Illumination movies, and it is hard to see how it was so profitable, considering that people are comparing it to Toy Story. Now, again, the animation is great, but this story has nothing to offer. The comedy doesn't work. All of the new characters are wasted, don't have a lot of memorability to them except for Rooster. And it's more like a Belle's Magical World type sequel, where it has 3 plots, but it tries to mix them all up together in one climax, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, or even add to the film, like give it that extra zest that drives audience to the theaters. Now, again, even though the animation is great, it's not really a big step up from the first movie. It's still Illumination's best animation, and I'll admit some of the characters are cute. I mean, pets are cute. I mean, you can't lie about that. Snowball's plot is probably the most interesting, and the tiger's pretty cute, I'll say that. But, just like Minions, a few heartwarming scenes and cute scenes won't save this movie from being a boring waste of time. It's a sequel that was unnecessary to begin with, and The Secret Life of Pets, actually, it's kind of hard to see how that film even became as profitable as it was. It's certainly not a better movie than Sing. Honestly, The Secret Life of Pets 2 topped the original one's mediocrity by being boring and unfunny. It's another film in Illumination's category that it's really best that you should skip. Unless, just like if you're a Minions fan, if you're a really big fan of the first Secret Life of Pets. But even then, I'm not so sure you'll enjoy it as much. So, honestly, I don't recommend this movie. And before we get to number 1, just have a quick dishonorable mentions. Hop. This movie is horrendous. It has annoying characters. The CGI is like Alvin and the Chipmunks. And it has a premise that could have been really good and well put into the movie. But again, it's another wasted opportunity, and it's really best that you should skip this one altogether. It's forgettable and highly. The Secret Life of Pets. This movie is another one of Illumination's blander films, but it was another just wasn't quite as big of a waste of time. It still had its entertaining and memorable moments, like when they're in the sausage factory, and when they're all come together in the end when they try to save Duke. So it does have its moments that do make it slightly memorable, but unless you're really that interested and really love cute pets, I mean, everyone loves cute pets, but that's not enough for me to go and watch a movie. So unless you fit in those two categories, I recommend just skipping this entirely and watching Sing. It's a way. Dr. Seuss's The Lorax. This one's an honorable mention. I don't hate it as much as everyone else does. It's got great animation, and it really tells an engaging story. And some of the places are really cool to look at. It's very interesting, and it's got its own unique visual stunning. But as far as the trees go, they are different and really creative. And I actually do recommend this movie, especially for kids. Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. Again, another honorable mention. I don't get the hate. This has all the bright colors and unique visual styles of the original. And it has a lot of great voice actors like Benedict Cumberbatch. So, again, I recommend this movie for all ages, even kids. Anyway, on to number one. And the number one worst Illumination movie is Despicable Me 3. Why, Illumination? Just why? At least The Secret Life of Pets, I didn't really have much nostalgia, but Despicable Me? You do not ruin Despicable Me on my watch, Illumination. The characters have revolted, into these one-dimensional roles. The antagonists can be a little entertaining from time to time, but not as memorable as El Macho or Vector. The animation is fine. I mean, it's not really a big improvement from the original. All these movies look the same. But they've ruined all the characters. And most of the characters are annoying. This is an unnecessary sequel. Why could we not have just ended it at Despicable Me 2? It had a great ending to the whole story. It didn't need an awkward subplot about Gru going to find his twin brother. This is just an awkward mess of a movie, whose sole purpose is just to make money. I mean, when I first heard the idea of a Despicable Me 3, I was nauseous. And that nauseousness is greatly justified. This movie ruined timeless characters that were given to us in the original two films, and turned them into generic, one-dimensional caricatures. This movie is the biggest stain on Illumination's record. It purposely ruined one of the greatest movies of all time. So, in that regard, I easily consider this the number one worst Illumination movie of all time. Illumination, please let Despicable Me alone now. Please. If you're a Despicable Me fan, like me, then stay away from this dreadful excuse of a sequel. And this scene, ugh. Oh, and forgot to mention that the climax is the worst climax. We had two great climaxes in the first two, and they just give us a boring Hollywood with bubblegum and all that. It's just a waste and a giant disappointment of a movie, a giant disappointment of a climax, and the whole movie is just annoying, irritating, and boring. Definitely skip Despicable Me 3 and send a clear message to Illumination. We don't want any more Despicable Me, so leave it alone. Ugh.